Da-da-da-da-da-da. Justin Timothy Wenger from the Man Effect. What's up, guys? This is the Man Effect. Facebook Live or live interview number 10. Can you believe it? This is the 10th one. And I am excited. I got a cool new one for you guys. Says it's adding my first or my 10th guest. Woo! Let's see how long it takes. What's up, Paul? What's up, Chris Hines? How you guys doing? Leave me some love. What's up, Dominique? Paul, I live in Serbia right now, so it's super early here too. There he is. There's the man. What's up, Justin?
Hey, Timothy. How's it going, man?
It's going well. You made it safe and sound. This is perfect.
Made it to my new destination.
Your new destination. So, everyone, this is a long lost friend, apparently, that I met back in 2013. Justin and I used to live in the same city. Now we both live in different parts of the world. And I thought it would be super cool to bring him on because you are a long distance runner. How would you describe what you do, essentially? I wouldn't know how to.
Oh, that's a good question. I am
Ultra running?
Jack of all trades, living in China, I guess.
Yeah. Just give us a short little brief on that.
So,
What do you do exactly?
Yeah, people meet me and they're like, "You're the woodworker, ultra marathoner, ice cream making, cake maker guy, right?" So I enjoy good food, the outdoors, woodworking, and just hanging out with people and enjoying life together. So a little bit of everything.
Heck yeah, dude. And you told me you're just about to run your first 100-mile race?
Yeah, that's why I'm here in beautiful Japan. So some crazy friends of mine in Hong Kong got me into this international ultra trail marathons. So now I'm staring at Fuji. I can't quite see it. It's down the island a little ways, but yeah, getting ready for a big race.
Dude, that's crazy. This is your first 100-mile, what's the longest you've run before this in one stint?
125 kilometers, so about 78 miles.
What the heck, man? That's insane. Oh my gosh. Whew! I couldn't do it.
So
I couldn't do it.
What's the furthest you've run?
Oh man, like 5 minutes.
Got to start somewhere.
No, I actually started running, man, what was it, like 2 or 3 months ago? And I was getting maybe 1 or 2 miles in. I just felt dog tired. But I could feel my lungs growing as I did it more and more, so I appreciated that.
There you go. No shame
Then I moved
in
across
starting
the world.
small.
Dude, no, not at all. I have no shame at all. I'm like, I like ultimate frisbee, so I like running for something, but like just running is very hard for me.
Oh yeah,
personally, but that's
I
just me.
Definitely, the trail versus the road, it's a different scene. So I think a lot of guys, women, they start running trails and like, oh, it's not that bad. You get some scenery, you get some nature, some variety, so it's maybe a little easier to run a few hours.
Yeah, very cool. Well, for everyone who's watching, this is Justin Andrews, right? I said it all right. I didn't slaughter it.
Got it.
Um,
Got it.
and the reason why I brought him on was a couple reasons. Someone suggested it, and also because I was really curious to hear just the thoughts of a man who's just doing some interesting things with his life. You've moved across the world, you've continued to teach woodworking and have taken on some new hobbies and pushing yourself. And so that's why I brought you on. And yeah, is there anything you want to do to introduce yourself before we jump in here? Or are you pretty good to go?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know what people read on the website and whatnot, but yeah, from a small town in Wisconsin, and I moved to Kansas City after college, got into woodworking, kept the running going, and then, yeah, like you said, moved over to Chengdu, China, where the pandas live, and studied some Chinese through some mutual friends. A mutual friend of mine got a opportunity to teach woodworking in a college, and so I
Uh-huh.
used my Chinese to teach that to college students, and then yeah, the running and yeah, a few other things in life kind of involved day to day. So, but yeah, the running's kind of. I thought running and woodworking would taper off, but they've only sort of grown as I've
They've only
been
grown.
in China longer.
Well, I want to give a shout out
So
to
it's been
Corey
good.
and Brianna and Eamon too, real quick. Sorry to cut you off there, but
Nah, you're
yeah.
good.
Oh man, Paul's already jumping in here, asking questions. All right, let's
Yes.
go. Let's go. I'll ask you questions in a little bit here, but he's wondering in what ways that mental discipline are needed to complete ultra marathons is applicable to non-running pursuits. So like, what have you learned in pushing yourself in ultra marathons that also applies to your personal life in discipline?
Yeah, I think with any goal or dream that I have, or other people have, but I think
Hmm.
ultramarathoning is something where you can look at the 100 miles or look at the 50 miles you want to run and think that's pretty impossible, or it's maybe you can envision the finish line, but it seems so far
Mm.
away, and so much can happen to you along the way that would
Yeah.
detract you or slow you down. But yeah, I think taking one step at a time and not giving up. Like mental game of ultra marathoning is so huge, and I think
Mm.
people think, oh, you're fast because you're gifted genetically, or you've run for so long, and that has some
Mm.
relationship, but mental game is pretty big. So I think believing in your ability to make it to the finish line, I think you can't let people along the way detract you, or
Mm.
maybe their decision to stop or their decision to approach the race a different way, like that can't affect what your process
Yeah.
looks like. And so I think, yeah, having a good support crew, like I think any ultra marathoner that has family or friends on the course helping them, like again, surrounding yourself with people that believe in you and want to help you achieve that goal is also big. And so I
Mm.
think we can take that, to any area of life and really, see that, yeah, community, friends, family, having the same vision
Yeah.
and believing in you, you believing in yourself. And yeah, it's all, yeah, I could talk for a long time about that, but yeah, it's, yeah, I think just one step at a time and doing the little things, like consistently doing the little things like eating and drinking. If you forget to eat or drink on an ultra marathon, you're not going to finish. And so,
Mm.
whatever that, if you want to start a business, like there's little things you need to do that aren't really fun or
Mm.
aren't really
Mm-hmm.
enjoyable along the way, but they're necessary for you to achieve that. So
Mm.
just need to identify what those are and not give up.
Interesting. Was there a moment when things shifted for you mentally, where you went from believing you couldn't do it to believing you could?
Um, I think what I just said a few minutes ago, like, you were talking about running 1 or 2 miles, and it's like, don't despise the day of small things.
Mm.
I
Mm-hmm.
think I started running 1 mile, 2 mile in high school, and then 5 and 10K in college. And so and then gradually went up to half and full marathon and now ultra marathons. And so, and 100 mile now this week is kind of like, it's the classic distance of ultra marathoning. And so
Mm.
I think you gain confidence along the way. And so I don't think Elon Musk started Tesla and he said he's going to fly to Mars or something. It's, I mean, maybe he had that vision originally, but I'm thinking he maybe started a little smaller and he
Mm.
saw some success. He saw some, smaller victories and then keep plugging away. And, I think any entrepreneur or teacher or, whatever your field or your passion is, like you build upon the successes of yesterday, but
Yeah.
you also
Yep.
don't let failure define you. So I had never dropped out of a race until I started ultra marathoning. And
Really?
so it's, yeah, like shorter races I've always finished. And so ultra
Mm.
marathoning is something where the successes are sweet, but you also have to realize that it might not be your day one day.
Mm.
And you just have to not let that deter you from achieving, like, striving for great things in the next race.
Mm. Have you ever been like 75% done with a ultra marathon or whatever, and you just knew you had to quit, but you didn't want to? Have you ever been in that situation?
Um, yeah, I made it to about 60% of a race last year and really
Mm.
didn't want to quit because I actually had teammates with me, and my quitting meant them also not getting a valid result.
Oh,
And so but I had vomited twice and didn't
oh
eat or
man.
drink anything in 4 hours because of heat
Ooh.
exhaustion. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, it just wasn't. I mean, physically, I was not doing good. Mentally, I was broken, and like it would be sort of dangerous. I could probably like walk very slowly for the next 10 hours and finish, but it's not healthy. And mentally, like when your goal is like when your goal is to podium and you're reduced to walking and you would get passed by
Yeah.
50% of the field, at that point you're kind of like, okay, maybe it's just better to finish, to DNF, do not finish.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds rough. Oh man, that's crazy. Oh man.
And
Well, are you cool with jumping in here with my couple standard questions, and I'm sure we'll deviate away from it. I mean, I always do.
sure, yeah,
So
yeah, shoot,
cool.
for
Well,
sure. Go ahead.
the first question that I usually always ask every person is, if you were to describe what it means to be a man in one word, what would it be and why?
Yeah, so I think honor is a word I'd
Mm,
pick. Honorable. I I was watching one of your past interviews, and as I was watching the interview, and you asked this, actually the last guest on was also Justin, but Justin
hmm
Bailey, and I said, I was mouthing the word integrity as he said it, and I was like,
mm.
oh well, I got to pick a new one now because I think so that's definitely one too. But I was like, oh man, he stole my word. But
That happens.
yeah, I think honorable, like it's I don't be a beating a broken drum or but
Mm,
yeah, I think honor. I was watching a friend, or not a friend, but watching a guy give a message on honor, and he's like, "It honor is not letting other people's defects or how they treat you influence
mm,
how you treat them."
mm.
And I thought that was a really succinct Danny Silk. Anyway, people just give him credit for that. So,
Mm.
but yeah, so letting honor be what defines you and how you react. You don't react. You act out of who you are, and you keep true to who you are, and don't
Yeah.
let other people, uh,
Sway
affect
that.
that or
Yeah,
influence
interesting.
that. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Huh. And in your life, who would represent that the most as a man? Like the most honorable man that you know? Or
Mm,
a most honorable man, because I know there's
yeah.
probably multiples. So,
Yeah. Well, I think, yeah, in following Jesus, I mean, I think that's, he's like the great example. But in my life here on the earth, yeah, I would say, yeah, my dad's been like a good role model picture of that.
Mm.
My sister, I think my sister Wendy, yeah, just been like a big influence, and I think in walking out, maybe not, walking down a path that wasn't the most popular or
Mm.
wasn't
Mm.
what people would want her to do maybe, or what they expected of her. And so yeah, I think there's been some cool role models in my own life, and through the years,
Mm.
college, post college, there's definitely a lot of people that have lived out that, done that well.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. I'm just kind of curious too. What are some like areas in life that or experiences that really challenged you to maintain that integrity or honor? Since integrity was already used, we'll use honor, but um, like
Yeah,
what has helped you
yeah,
grow in that way? Does that make sense?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think there's some friendships back in America that even before really I would be able to, even before I would really put voice to like how to, I wouldn't use the word integrity or honor back then probably even, but just I
Mm-hmm.
think yeah, certain relationships that went south, and I had like a choice of how to respond. Um,
Yeah.
and so yeah, I
Yeah.
think like as a calling myself up to like a higher standard and not reacting in the same way that I was treated, or that might be natural in our reactionary nature.
Mm.
So yeah, I think just you have to step back and take some time to think about, yeah, like what is the right way to react, and what is love?
Mm.
What does it look like to
Mm.
love and to honor the other person in that
Mm.
situation? So
Hmm. Yeah, that's good. I like that. I'm always fascinated by people's journey and like what's brought them to where they're at and where their core values come from. I just always find it really interesting how things develop in people's lives. Um,
yeah,
I'm curious. So it seems like recently you've been kind of publicly documenting your journey of ultramarathoning and just kind of your journey and your process. I've seen a few of your posts, and I'm just kind of curious what's inspired you to kind of make that a public thing. And yeah, Eamon, he's originally from the USA, but he now lives in China and is running in Tokyo or not Tokyo, yeah, Tokyo, right? T today, tomorrow?
yeah,
It's confusing.
yeah. It's Friday, Mount Fuji on Friday.
Mount Fuji, okay, Mount Fuji on Friday. But yeah,
F's.
so what inspired you to start kind of documenting it? Was it for just personal desire or like I'm just kind of curious what that whole part of your journey.
Yeah, yeah. I think I think as a in the running world, people have blogs about training for marathons or running a 5 or 10K type of thing, and or just
Yeah.
general fitness. But um, I think the ultra marathoning world, as I've gotten into that, that's been more of a impetus to try to share um,
Mm,
mindset, and what goes into the process of preparing for one and during the race. I don't know. I think maybe partly because I've gotten some decent results. Not
yeah.
that like the accomplishment of finishing a race is any less for like a mid packer or back of the packer, but I think people are maybe just drawn a little more, or they're more apt to like what goes through the mind of a fast runner, like
Mm,
how do you do it that fast? I don't know. And it's not,
yeah.
I don't share because I'm fast. I am who I am. But it's just I think people I enjoy one I enjoy writing. Two, people just seemed interested, and so I think I guess if there's one or two people that read it, like I'd still do it.
Yeah.
And I have by no means like a large following or am that well known in the trail world. But, anyway, I think it's not a common sport, right? Not many people in the grand scheme of the world population run 50 miles or 100 miles.
Yeah.
So I think
That's
it's
true.
curious, interesting
Yeah.
process, interesting pursuit. So anyway, some of the thoughts behind it.
And do you have it kind of seems like you have a desire just to like kind of expose the journey and bring people along on that. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
And and
would
the reason why
inviting people into.
go for it.
Yeah, go ahead. I was gonna say inviting people into the journey. Yeah, I think what goes through your mind, like you said, like the mental game, the mental side of
Yeah.
10, 15 hours of, where you consistently might challenge, be struggling with like wanting to give up or struggling with some physical problems during the race. And so, yeah, I think people can take solace, or, they can find like some relationship to things they're going through in life that, is a world away from running, but they might find some encouragement from that.
Yeah. No, why I really like that is I call it the humanization. So like to demystify some of these unattainable things, you know? So it's like um,
Yeah.
in like the Christian culture that I felt I grew up in, it was very common to dehumanize people when they became uh, successful or spiritual or in the self-help business world. The second you hit the $1 million mark, you just became non-human, and it's like uh, I really appreciate it when people expose their humanity and just encourage people to join them because it makes overcoming daily life so much more realistic, it seems like. And it's not just like
Yeah.
I'm gonna wake up one day and run 100 miles. Like there's no way in hell I would do that. Like, but
Yeah, it's
I don't know.
probably not a good decision one morning for you in this current month, maybe,
Or year. Jesus.
or
Oh
year.
my God.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I think.
what I'm oh, go.
Not, oh no, I was just gonna say, like, yeah, it's not yeah, like it's not like we've arrived, right? Like, whatever our goal is, whatever we're passionate about, like, whether it's trail running or being like a good woodworker or
Mhm.
you know being a faithful friend, like, there's always room to grow. So it's like I don't think anyone's arrived, right? So we can all learn
Yeah.
from each other, and I think just admitting that we have failures and we don't have it figured out, but we're on the journey, and I
Mm.
might, who knows, I might not finish this race, I might drop out, who knows, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna try my best to finish, and so that's the goal.
Yeah. That's yeah, it's so interesting. So I'm curious too, because for me, like a lot of the hobbies I've taken on personally, they've influenced a lot of other aspects of my life because they've taught me things. So like I've done woodworking in the past. I miss having my own shop, but like woodworking taught me
Yeah.
so much about having a vision and overcoming problems and sticking with it and um, measure three times, cut once kind of thing, and a lot of those
Yeah.
principles really applied to areas of my life, and I was very surprised by it. And so I'm curious for you too, in your own journey, like not only just ultra marathoning, but moving across the world and being a woodworker and different and teaching that in a different culture, like has that impacted you and your life in ways that surprised you?
um let's see. Yeah, I think it has. It's something I don't really like. I don't know. I don't sit down maybe and think about, like, how does woodworking relate to life for me. But yeah, like
Yeah.
that funny is funny. You mentioned like measure twice, measure three times, cut once. Like I just told my students that in Chinese last week, and And so it's, it's kind of like a slogan of the trade. But
Hmm.
yeah, I think, yeah, that idea of like pre-planning and making sure you have, it's not to say we're going to like know all what lies ahead on the
Yeah.
journey of accomplishing a goal. But, in as much as we can, like, you're not going to go start a business if you have no idea who your clients are, what your vision is, or,
Yeah.
there's just
Yeah.
certain like common things you're going to try to figure out and resolve beforehand. So, yeah, I think, yeah, definitely, yeah, some of those lessons of in an ultra marathon as well. Like, yeah, you got to prepare, you got to train, you got to get your nutrition figured out, and you got to know what the weather is going to be like and the trail conditions, and make adjustments to your equipment, your shoes, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I think
What?
in
That's
life,
crazy.
yeah, it definitely has some relationship there.
Man, I'm so curious about all this ultra marathoning stuff. I've just because I've never even like heard of it really. I mean, I have, but I haven't looked into it much. So like, if it's like raining for the whole time you're running, like, don't you get like hypothermia or something? Like, what do you do? Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's strange. Like, growing up in Wisconsin and then Kansas City, uh, weather wasn't, the weather could be pretty bad a lot of the
Yeah,
year. And so, yeah, you might get some rain when it's 40 degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit rather, 5
yeah,
degrees Celsius. And yeah, it's
yeah,
gonna be real cold. So you have to just, I think the idea that like when the conditions are just intense and not favorable, you have to keep moving and keep eating. Like I think if you allow, and this could be, a lot related to a lot of things. Like if one thing goes bad in a situation, or whether it's a relationship, maybe one one wrench gets thrown in the tire. Like how
yeah,
do we just like do we just give up wholesale, or do we like okay, like that happened and we can't change that, but how do I respond to that? How do I fix it and not let something else, like if you just ditch on me on like an appointment or something, or like I didn't show up for this interview today, and
yeah,
like in the future, like how does that affect our friendship? And so anyway, I
yeah.
think there's a lot of like troubleshooting, and in relationships that looks different, but I think in yeah, just not letting your mindset get derailed, your mental fortitude get uh, too thrown off by the weather. It's because you can't look for an excuse to quit. Like there's lots of excuses to quit during an ultra, but I guess the idea is to put them behind you and keep pressing
Hmm.
on.
How do you overcome those mental hurdles? Like when you're like you actually find a pretty legitimate excuse why you shouldn't do something, but you want to keep going. Like how do you overcome that?
Yeah. I think realizing how much you've put into it, how much you
Hmm.
invested into like that one day.
Hmm.
It's a big motivator for me. And so,
Hmm.
again, like whether your goal is to podium or just to finish your first new distance, it's your first time running an ultra or whatever, like everyone's put a lot into it. And so, and
Uh-huh.
I think also like the people around you, I've usually have support crew, people helping out on the trail. And so not letting, I think it's a motivation not to like let them down. And again, that can be a little dangerous because in other areas of life, you like, people might call it the performance pressure, like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
doing it because someone else wants me to do it, or because they expect me to do this. And of course,
Hmm.
that's not the same in ultras because no one's forcing you to run 100 miles. Like, hopefully, you're out there because you want to.
Because you're
But
crazy. That's why. Oh my
real,
God.
yeah, yeah, because we're all a little crazy for sure. But yeah, I think how much you've invested, people around you helping you out, you don't want to let them down, and I think
Hmm.
pushing your body. I mean, I think everyone's that's like a big. I think most ultra runners would say they do ultra running to test their mental, physical, emotional strength and just see what limits, what is the limit? Like, I think in normal life, we're pretty comfortable if we have food in the pantry and a roof over our head and a couch and a TV, we're pretty set. And so I think there's this idea in the ultra world that it's growing so fast because people are actually wanting to be uncomfortable and get out of their comfort limit and see what they can do really when things aren't going good.
I'm going to stretch you here a little bit. Since you're a writer, you should A, write an article about mental fortitude, but B, is there a way that you could summarize like three steps maybe for people who are wanting to grow in mental fortitude? Like, what are just like 3 tools that you've used, or something kind of like that? Just kind of simplify it, or boil it down.
Yeah. Number one, I think grow your pain threshold by small incremental challenges. And so I guess that would be, I can expand upon these. I'll see if I can remember them even. I'm kind of just trying to
no, you're
put
good.
them succinctly first.
And
then I think don't let small problems and challenges derail you from the overall vision. And then third, I would say believe that and trust that pain and setbacks are actually not going to kill you. They're actually not going to like even be remembered in like a week or two. Maybe the time's a little different, but I think in running, people think, oh, like how do you run that fast, or how do you run that long? And it's like the old thought in the 40s, 50s, or the first half of the 20th century, when people thought the 4-minute mile is impossible. Like the human body's actually going to die if you break 4 minutes. But Roger Bannister, being a doctor, he's like, well, one, he was a good runner, incredible runner. But two, he's like, he did tests on himself. He's like, I don't think I'm gonna die. So he just goes out and runs. After several attempts, he breaks 4 minutes before anyone else. But the interesting thing of him breaking 4 minutes was not that he broke 4 minutes. It was that within like 2 or 3 months after, like 3 other guys did it. So I had like probably the timeline and the numbers wrong. But the idea that once someone breaks a threshold, like a barrier that someone thought impossible, then other people are like, oh, actually, okay, I'm not going to die if I do it too. Or if I have that as the same like really high goal for my life.
That makes me think that like it's really important to find out if other people have gone on this journey before, so that it's possible, like for your dreams or your goals. That's interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's circle back to that first point then. The gradual pain tolerance growth. Essentially. How would someone go about doing that?
Are we talking broad scale or like in the running world?
Let's just use the running world for your just kind of a basic example, because I'm sure there's a million scenarios.
All right. So I think you don't wake up one day and think, I'm going to run 100 miles today. You might think, the couch to 5K program, like that's a good start. So, okay, I'm a couch potato. 5K is not that long. I can like see 5K if I look out the window. Like, okay, it's attainable, but yet if you want to do it fast, there's always like improvements. Like, right, finishing is a 5K is a good goal to start out, but then like, okay, do it faster. So you just keep on the same distance and keep doing it faster. And as you get in better shape, completing the 5K is no longer the great goal, and it seems actually kind of routine after a while. But getting faster at that distance is, the goal. And so that teaches you to endure more pain, because same distance, but doing it faster necessarily means that you're going to hurt more.
Yeah.
And the old classic quote from the cyclist, American cyclist Greg LeMond, he said, "It never gets easier. You just go faster."
Mm.
And so
Huh.
it always hurts, but you learn that you get faster, but you still don't die. Like,
Mm.
so that gives you mental strength to say, oh, what if I did a 10K, or what if I did a half marathon? Okay, it's longer
Mm.
now, so the first time I do it, I have to slow my pace down. But then after a while, you can, again, pick up the pace. And of course, your 5K pace is always going to be faster than your 10K pace. It's always going to be faster than your half marathon pace. That's just physiological, that's just science. But point being, effort level that you can sustain can be very high if your mental fortitude is very strong.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I like that quote, that the pain doesn't change, you just do it faster. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Um, what was the second one you said? It was, uh, oh man,
I think
I should have wrote this down.
don't let small setbacks or
Oh yeah,
challenges
yeah, yeah.
like derail you.
Yeah, so what's like one example of that's happened for you, of you overcoming a small challenge or something like that?
Um, I haven't mastered this one, so this is a good one because it's, again, like, despite my 21 years of running, it's
Mm.
still something I'm trying to learn and figure out. So, hot weather. I'm not a great hot weather runner.
Mm.
So I can remember my first marathon actually in 2007 in Chicago, and it was everyone said, "Oh, in a hot day like this, it got up to about 87 degrees that day, which would be, for the Celsius people out there, I think that's around 30." Um,
Mm.
and so, yeah, it was a hot day. And so they actually ran out of
Yeah.
water. They ran out of emergency
What?
services, like ambulances were full, taking people to the hospital. Yeah. So
Oh my
it was like
gosh.
probably one of the only marathons, only one of the big city marathons that have ever had to cancel the race midway because of weather.
Really?
So after like 4 hours, they canceled the race. But so when I started, my friends like, "Oh, you should probably adjust your time goal by 15 minutes, like 10 or 15 minutes slower than you want to run, than your original goal
Mm.
was, had the weather been good." I think I only adjusted it by about 4 or 5 minutes, thinking he was just blowing smoke. Well, I got to about 18 miles and I was walking, so that taught me a lesson.
Oh man.
Yeah, like, just cramping up, and sweat rate was too high. Couldn't get enough liquids down, and so and
Did
that's
you finish?
like I said, I did. I finished by walking, and walked backward even some of the race.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, so I took a tip. One of the fans on the course, a spectator, said, "Hey, uh, walk backward. You'll use different muscles, and your cramping won't be as bad." And I said, "Oh, it sounds like a good idea to me."
That's crazy. I've never heard that.
So
That's
yeah,
crazy. That's a great example, though. Huh. So
and
now you
so
just adjust
yeah. I mean, I think
appropriately.
there's unorthodox ways of accomplishing goals sometimes.
Hmm. Hmm. That's interesting. How driven are you by a vision or a goal? Does the vision or goal really motivate you?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, there's a quote from the Bible that says, "Without a vision, men perish."
Mm.
And I've
Hmm.
often thought, like, really, like, is it that strong, or is it that serious?
Hmm.
And I haven't went back to like the Hebrew, the ancient texts, and like,
Yeah,
does the
yeah,
word mean like death, or does it mean like they just lose they just lose encouragement type, whatever. Semantics
yeah.
aside, like, I think yeah, it's what captures our attention and what captures our drivenness. If women are driven too, and so it doesn't matter who you are, like,
Yeah.
It might be a vision to have, the vision might be to have a family. The vision might be to have, to be CEO of of a company, or to fly to have a colony on Mars, like Elon Musk's vision is. But I think,
Yeah.
yeah, the vision is super important. Without it, yeah, you don't know exactly what you're working toward, and you don't exactly know when you've arrived.
Yeah.
So, but also I
Cool.
think a vision is important because, unless the vision is like unattainable in our life, like some
Uh-huh.
visions, like, maybe in Elon Musk's life, a colony on Mars won't happen. I don't know. Like, that's hard to say if that'll happen in our lifetime. But I think most visions have like a attainable finish line, and I think that's important too. Like,
Mm.
not to set your sights lower than you ought to, but if this 100-mile race, if someone just said, "Hey, come to Mount Fuji for a race," and I said, "How long is it?" They're like, "We're not going to tell you," or
Mm.
like, "We don't know." What?
Yeah.
Like, how do you're like, how do you know what to train for? Like, you
Yeah.
base your training program and your regimen on like a set distance and a set course, and you
Mm.
train to prepare for that specific course that day or that 2 days.
Mm.
And so I don't think anyone's trying to like sign up for some sporting event that they have no idea when it's done, when it's finished.
I think that's your new ultra marathon marketing gig. The mystery marathon.
Yeah,
Sign
there we
up
go, there we
and
go.
and find out how many miles you run the day of. That'd be
Yeah,
that sounds.
there's definitely some long ones. There's some
Oh.
long ones out there, but they all have a finish line, I think.
So, man, that's so crazy. I'm still wrapping my head around the fact that you're about to run 100 miles. That's just bizarre to me. Okay, well, let's jump into some other questions here. We got a few more minutes. I'm curious, what advice would you give your younger self about masculinity and just like dreams and goals in general?
Mm. Yeah, it's good. I think if I could go back and tell my younger self something back in the day, I think not not letting people's expectations or um, their supposed knowledge on a subject change how I approach it or change what my dream or goal is in it. I think
Mm.
there's a lot of armchair theorists out there, and so people might, it's easy to, especially in the
Yeah.
internet age now,
Yeah.
maybe in the internet age even more so than when we were kids. There wasn't much of an internet, so
Mhm.
um, and
Yeah.
so but regardless, people are not slow to offer their own suggestions and let you know what their expectations are. And so yeah, I
Hmm.
think not letting that influence what I pursued or what I
Mm.
uh, thought was a ceiling on a certain endeavor.
Mm. Yeah, that's interesting. So essentially, just it would be how would I summarize that? Kind of just don't worry about what others think, like pursue your
Yeah,
dreams in
yeah,
in some
yeah,
ways.
yeah, yeah. I'd say that's good. Again, nothing too groundbreaking there. I think a lot of people would agree with
Oh,
that or like have thought the
yeah,
same. But
yeah,
I think that is such like a big part of what maybe detracts us or distracts us from a dream or a goal is that there isn't or that we can be so easily influenced by other people or
yeah.
culture.
No, I think it's a huge thing. And if people would actually take that to heart and not underplay it, I think it'd be really interesting.
Yeah,
Just because I think the simple truths are some of the most powerful. So I don't. This is just me, my
yeah.
biased opinion. My biased opinion. Um, do
I'll
you think
back you.
it's important for? Oh, you'll back me up? Good, good. Two skinny guys. We'll take this on. Oh, Paul's got another question here. let's see here. I assume there are some differences between the Eastern and Western woodworking uh, joinery, just as there are similarities.
Join.
Does it seem there is a similar ratio of similarities and difference in their approach to the idea of masculinity? I really like that, Paul. That's something that I've been
Uh,
exploring as well as I've traveled. Like, what are the similarities of masculinity in the different cultures you've experienced personally,
mm,
Justin?
yeah, it's a good question, Paul. I think there are some Asian cultures, Chinese cultures, where it's more of a what's the term? Like it's more women led, women
Oh, really?
driven.
Really?
Um, yeah, yeah.
Matriarchal,
Like
I
the
guess?
women are, yeah, yeah, matriarchal. Yeah, so like the women are the business. There is no businessmen, or not many. The women are the ones doing the business, and
Really?
the women are the ones kind of running the house. And it's strange. I mean, I think for a Westerner, it's strange. It's it's fine. I think it's good, but it in some way the men, at least in when I was in this particular area, the men resorted to getting caught up in alcohol and maybe like not so faithful marriages and stuff. So
Hmm.
it's for the men's part, didn't seem that good. Um,
Yeah.
if they might not have had, and I don't know traditionally what it was like. If
Hmm.
the men always had those struggles, or and that wasn't like that's not like a wholesale assessment of the culture, but um, in that particular area, like it was interesting to see. Like it was almost as if the men kind of shunned all responsibility because they weren't leading some of the areas.
Hmm.
Um,
And this was in China?
and so yeah, yeah.
Huh.
So it's almost like they could pass the buck to the women, and then they just abdicated themselves of any responsibility. um,
Huh.
but
That's crazy.
so I think yeah, and that's not that common. I think most Asian cultures, it's still uh, the men might get. And there's probably some of the same imbalances, like men might get paid more, men might get more promotions and that type of thing. Um,
Hmm.
but I think definitely, I think in Asia, like there's the challenge. Maybe I don't know. I guess if I could just be blunt, like I think the way a lot of men treat women,
Hmm.
because women are there hasn't been like the feminine movement. There hasn't been the um, quite the social uh, outcry and change for like fairness
Hmm.
and equality and
Hmm.
respect. And again, that's it's not like a blanket assessment of all Asian cultures, but I think there's a lot of growth that can happen in Asia that would be good for men to know what it is to love better and serve better and
Hmm.
carry their own share of like family duties. And like in Asia, it's just not like men don't do laundry, men don't cook, men
Hmm.
don't care for the kids as much in general.
Hmm.
um, and so the ideas definitely are different here. Like I think in America, if you marry some woman, you're like, all right, you good with cooking, cleaning, taking care of the children, I'm gonna work. And she's
Yeah.
I don't know, a lot of women might not go for that if the guy kind of said that. But here it's
Yeah.
pretty accepted. It's pretty
Hmm.
accepted that like the men are the breadwinners, and or
Hmm.
even both. Like and that's just both work, and then the grandparents care for the kids, and so you have a whole lot of whole another can of worms of like what does it look like to raise children, and what does it look like to really be involved in their lives, and
Hmm.
so definitely different cultures, different
What's
approaches to things.
Yeah, I find that there's always like something that's not as positive, but there's also things that are really interesting about different cultures' perspectives. And so, like, what's something that you really
Yeah.
respect about the Chinese culture when it comes to masculinity?
I think like there's a big like the idea of respect and honor. Like there is um, just how like kind of old people like the idea of like nursing homes and that kind of thing, and
Mm-hmm.
um, I think just like the way they address older people. Like there's never like it'd be like really culturally insensitive and wrong to like ever look down upon an older person or no
Mm,
matter like what their capability is
mm,
or and like just to be really to prefer older people and like, like serve them and honor them
mm,
um and I think yeah I think the idea of working hard like that's definitely like the idea of working hard and like a lot of the men they do sacrifice a lot for their family and
mm,
to it's easy for me to say like oh they're working so much that they're like neglecting their family. That's what
mm-hmm.
because they're never home maybe, but
Yeah.
for them that's not a choice. Like that's easy for me to like overlook like oh if he didn't work that much like his family couldn't eat, his kids couldn't go to school. So I
Yeah.
can't forget like just this economic reality is so different from what we're used to. um
Mm,
and like I know a lot of that's true for a lot of Asian cultures. Is like just economically they're not as well off, and so the
mm.
father, the men do sacrifice a lot so that their wife, their kids can have a better life, and
Yeah.
so that's cool.
Huh. Yeah. I always find it so interesting how different some attributes are, and then how there's still a lot of similarities too. So I'm just like, that's really interesting.
Yeah,
I've been wanting to get to China one day. One day.
come
Oh
on over,
man.
come
Come on
on.
down. So, hmm, if if someone is about to start out on like just working towards one of their long-term dreams or goals or something they've dabbled a little bit in and enjoyed but want to pursue further, what would be your encouragement to them and like how to stay consistent with it? Because if you've been running for, you said 21 years, is that what you said? Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
that's a little bit of time. And so what has kept you doing something that I'm assuming you love? I don't know why else you would keep doing it or pushing yourself further. So
Yeah.
how can you encourage someone, or what would you say, who's starting out or wanting to pursue something further?
Yeah, I think kind of drawing things together. Like you have to find something you're passionate about, and so like
Hmm.
if the vision and the dream is put on you by someone else or it's expected of you, but you're really not passionate about it, like you're not gonna likely have the mental drive and the day to day toughness, to grit it out. Like when things get tough, are you like passionate about accomplishing the end goal and getting there? Um,
Yeah.
so that you don't give up. Like, I think so just finding what you're really passionate about. And then when you find that, and of course, like every, even like the best, like most exciting dreams and goals of ours, like have aspects that aren't that sexy. They aren't that fun to do
Mhm.
and to handle, but you got to
Yeah.
do it. And so, it's not all rose colored glasses, but,
Yeah. Yeah.
at least you're knowing that it's the, the end goal and like the journey is worth the sacrifices that you have to make along the way. And
Mm.
so I think surrounding yourself with people that again have like gone down that road, and maybe you want to go further than them, and maybe you want to
Mm.
do something a little different. But yeah, just as best as we can, like just to surround yourself with people who have walked that road before, and like I think there's in the science and tech realm, like there is new things, but
Mm.
business I don't know. I think like so many businesses have been started and done well, and others failed, but still, like, there's so much wisdom out there. And so I think just
Mm-hmm.
being humble and realizing that some find guys, find women that have done it, and just write them an email, even if you've never met them. Like, people are
Yeah.
pretty willing to help out, I think, in general. So
Yeah. Yeah, they are. I like that. That's good. Okay. Well, why don't we let's bring it to a close here with one fun fact about Justin, and then I'll give a fun fact about me.
all right, wow. Yeah, I was thinking about this. Let's see. I don't know if I've come to a conclusive answer here. Fun fact. I think I have run about 1.5 times around the world at this point, distance
What?
wise.
That's insane.
I think that's
And
further than your truck with one less wheel that you didn't tighten made it
yeah,
last interview.
yeah, yeah. Um, oh man, that's a good one. My fun fact this time is, whew, one time I was driving, I had been driving for like 20 hours at that point, I think, straight, and I blacked out and I woke up going in another lane, like it was in northern Arizona. I was going down a hill or a mountain or whatever, and it was 2 lanes on a freeway, and I was in the right lane, and then I woke up in the left lane. Like I just completely blacked out. And I was like, Tim, you need to pull
Wow.
over and sleep. And I didn't. I kept driving for 2 more
You did.
hours. Yeah.
Wow.
So stupid.
Hopefully that
But
the adrenaline kick, hopefully that lasted 2 hours.
dude, I'll tell you what, just completely blacking out and waking up while you're driving is completely terrifying. Oh my gosh. But I think I was like
Actually,
19.
I have
So,
similar story. Yeah, I have stories from about 19, 20 years old of falling asleep driving as well. But mine
yeah.
are not nearly as warranted, as I was only driving a few hours at a time. But just like super tired and nearly hit like a speed limit sign on the interstate. I didn't wake up till I was in the right lane, and I didn't wake up till my left tire was on the rumble strip on the right side. It's like
Oh my gosh.
my right tires had crossed the rumble strip, and I didn't wake up yet. My left tire hit it, and then I did. So yeah, it's a good feeling, huh? Realizing you're falling asleep
No.
driving 75 miles an
No.
hour.
I hate it. Terrifying. I've changed my
Yeah,
tactics and adjusted appropriately ever since.
that's good. I can guarantee if you come to China, you will not fall asleep driving on the roads here.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, they're pretty busy and terrifying themselves. So lots to keep
Dude,
you awake.
well, Justin, that's terrifying, and I'll probably find out one day. I'll probably go. Um, but thank you so much for letting me just poke at you and pick your brain. I still can't believe how much you've run. I just find that utterly insane. And um, I'm excited to hear how your 100-mile, your century run goes. That's going to be crazy.
Man, I appreciate it. Thanks. Great to catch up a bit, and thanks for having
Yeah,
me on.
yeah. And if people want to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Um, it's I have my blog and
Hmm.
Instagram account. My Facebook
Yeah.
page just it is what it is. It's not like a athlete page or anything, but I'm on Facebook as well.
Okay. And
I
I'll put
imagine maybe
links to all that
we'll have to
too.
talk. Maybe we
So
can. Sounds good. Yeah, maybe throw the link for the athlete tracking. People want to follow the 100-mile journey that I'm taking. They
yeah.
can follow along this Friday.
Yeah, actually, you should, if you put that in the comments of this, that would be a really good way to do that. And then I'll put links to
Cool.
everything else in the bio.
All right.
Uh,
Sounds good.
and I am super honored that you gave me your time, man. And thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for watching and tuning in and putting up with me. Uh, I guess that's it. I will talk to you soon. All right. Bye bye.
Cool. All right. Peace, man. See ya.